Welcome to Piety on Purpose. I'm your host, Rich Van Kunit. This is the show where we form intentional Catholic professionals who pursue holiness through piety, asceticism, and virtuous habits. And today, I want to talk about some scripture that I was reading through the daily missal. It was last week on Maccabees chapter 6, which is entitled The Martyrdom of Eleazar. And man, if this is not just a great example of what a godly man is, of what piety looks like, of what aging looks like, of what being an example looks like. Eleazar is forced with it. And this man is highly resolved to not only serve his God, to stay right on with the laws of God, and to understand what his witness looks like, what his piety means to others. So let's share the screen and get into it. We're going to look at Second Maccabees, chapter 6, and we're in 18. And to back up, you have to understand that, once again, the Israelites are in captivity. They've got oppressors. And, in earlier chapters, they're just going at Israel, right? They're going into the temple, they're defaning it, they're defiling it, and they are doing things to the Israelites that are absolutely inhumane, forcing them to go in parades to pagan gods and just do things to make them go against the law of God and to compromise their faith and their attempt to try to wipe out Israel's faith in the true God. So when we get to verse 18, so we start reading that Eleazar is a man of, he's in high position, and he's now advanced in age, and he's of a noble presence. And that is, he just starts off, right? He's a man of age and he has a noble presence. When you walk into a room, when you walk into work, when you walk into conference room, or maybe you're at church, maybe you're with your family, do you carry with yourself a noble presence? I mean, people look at you when you walk in and say, this is a good man, this is a good woman, this is someone who's virtuous, this is somebody who cares about me, who will listen to me, who will live their faith out. It's amazing how your presence walks with you into a room and can change how everybody's doing that day. Your countenance could bleed over into their emotions. If you're happy and you're joyful and you make them smile, you change their demeanor. If you walk in and you're angry and you're evil and you're hurtful, you could be the reason why they go home that day and they're, depressed or hurt or angry or not enjoying life as they could have because of how your presence walked into the room. So in this case, what they're trying to do here is they're trying to get Eleazar to eat swine, right? And so they're not allowed to eat swine back then. So we see here in verse 19 and verse 20, he welcomed death rather than a life with pollution. And so that means he was going to have to go to the rack, and he just spit out the flesh. He's like, nope, not for me. I'm not going to eat it. I'm not going to defile my faith in God, right? So he has actually, because of that noble presence, he's got some of the people that are in charge that are actually friends with him. The word even says they were friends, right? These are your captives, but he's making friends because of his noble presence. And they're saying, listen, man, we don't want to see you get killed. Why don't we just get you some of your meat, some of the things that you're allowed to eat, and you eat that, and it'll give the appearance to the king and everybody that you did what you were supposed to do. You were you were in obedience to what we're telling you to do, and we could just keep rolling. We'll just keep moving. Just eat your meat, pretend it's swine, and let's keep going. You don't have to die today. But Eleazar sees that, and he's like, no, actually, I'm not. Because in doing that, I am lying to my God. I'm not just lying to the king, right? So he comes in and he says, making a high resolve. I mean, he didn't think about it. He didn't go, well, I don't know. He had a high resolve. I don't even know what that means. I don't know if I've ever had a high resolve for anything, right? I have logically come to the conclusion of some things. I have made a resolve. I have put my effort into discipline, into living according to that. But high resolve, like high resolve, that's bulletproof, right? Nobody's going to get at you when you're highly resolved to do something. That means there is no question, no debate, no turning, no questions asked. This is what I'm resolved to be, do, and act. So, with a high resolve, worthy of his years and the dignity of his old age and gray hairs, which he had reached with distinction, and his excellent life, even from childhood, moreover, according to the holy God-given law, he declared himself quickly. He said, send me to hell. Send me to Hades. Send me to the rack, because such pretense, lying about eating the meat, saying it was swine, so giving everybody the appearance that he succumbed to the demands of the false religion. Such pretense is not worthy of our time of life. And here we go. Lest many of the young should suppose that Eleazar in his 90th year has gone over to an alien religion. And though through my pretense, for the sake of living just a brief moment longer, they should be led astray because of me, while I defile and disgrace my old age. For even if for the present I should avoid punishment of men, yet whether I live or die, I shall not escape the hands of the Almighty. And that's it, right? He's like, I've lived this long. I have obeyed God's commands since my youth. I'm a beacon of a role model. I'm responsible for these people. They're looking up to me. And by the way, these kids, they're going to see what I did, and they're going to say, if he can give in, if he can break, then I can break. And so his one act to just get a couple more years of life, he's going, what's that worth? Why do I want to do that? Why would I want to live here in my 90s for a couple more years and then face Almighty God for betraying him and taking all of these kids with me, all of this youth with me? They saw me break after living all of these years in a holy manner. I'm just going to let it all go right now to have a couple more years here in captivity. It wasn't like they were in like the land of milk and honey and plenty and everything's great. And man, I could have a couple more years at the beach. They're asking him would you accept a couple more years of captivity? Man. All right. So therefore, listen to this, people. Therefore, by manfully giving up my life now, I will show myself worthy of my old age, and to leave to the young a noble example of how to die a good death willingly and nobly for the revered and holy laws of God. Manfully, I'm going to manfully give up my life willingly so that I can leave an example to the kids, a noble way of showing them how to die a good life. Or excuse me, how to die a good death. We read in the rosaries, right? One of those mysteries, the fruits of the mystery is to die a good death, right? What does that mean? This is what that means, right? It's to die having persevered in the faith, having loved God all your life, lived for him, and so that when it is your time, be it old age, unfortunate early accident, a brutal long cancer bout, whatever it is, that's not if you die good or bad, the manner of what kills you. Dying a good death is that you're ready for the beatific vision, that you've lived as a saint, that you're ready to go to heaven and enjoy him forever. And that's what living holy and pious means. And he says, revering the holy laws of God, right? And so we know that we're saved by what Christ did on the cross. He sacrificed himself for us. We have that faith. We're baptized in him. And we work out our salvation with fear and trembling every day. We have all of these moments every day where the temptations come, the ways of taking the easy way out, the way of not doing something that we could have done, doing the right thing, omission, commission. Every day we're giving 24 hours, it feels like, of ways to either come through with this and live a pious life, or succumb to the temptations and the evil and the pagan ways and be no different than someone who doesn't believe in God. I mean, even worse, because we say we believe in Jesus and then we live an absolute different way. Man, I'm preaching to myself right now. I mean, that's the things that I have to really put into practice on purpose every day of my life, because the devil get me. If I'm idle, if I'm not from prayer, if I'm not reading the scriptures, if I'm not praying my rosary, if I'm not going to Holy Mass. I love going to daily Mass. And over the summer, I went just about every time I could get there, which is a lot. And then as soon as school hits and that traffic hits, I have not been able to go since September. And now it's when I'm recording this, we're on Thanksgiving break, so I'm back to being able to go. And it's just so fantastic. It just changes your demeanor, it changes your energy. You've received the Lord. You've received him truly present in the Eucharist. And so, all that gives me all of this energy to fight on and try to pray for my loved ones and stand in the gap and fight for them, because it's a spiritual battle, spiritual warfare out there. So that's what he did. He was a man, and he manfully gave up his life to stay true to his faith in God. And then, so he goes to the rack and they're torturing him and they're killing him. And he gives his final words. And it's just like, seems like it's just like out of like what Stephen or the martyrs would say at the end of their lives, right? Like they're being stoned and it's like, forgive them. They know not what they're doing. And he's like, it's clear to the Lord in his holy knowledge that though I might have been saved from death, I am enduring terrible sufferings in my body under this beating. But check this out. Being a man, once again, but in my soul, I am glad to suffer these things because I fear him. And that's it. That's it, right? Do we love him so that we live for him? Do we fear him so that we don't want to hurt him and disgrace him and say, you did all this on the cross for me, Jesus, but then I go ahead and I do the absolute opposite of what that life should look like and what it should mean. So this is great for me. I just got so excited and energized reading these scriptures and this example of Eleazar and his martyrdom, how he was showing us how to be a man, how to be an example to the youth, how to persevere to the end, how to live a noble and holy life. And I pray that we all put the effort into wanting to be this type of person, man or woman. So thanks for showing up again and watching another episode of me ramble. May God be with you, and I'll see you on the next one.